Good morning, everybody. Happy Thursday. Hope you guys are doing well, and it's time for Pass Coverage Thursday. And the Seahawks gave up a lot of yards and a lot of completions on Sunday, but the other team needed a lot of pass attempts to get those yards and completions, so it wasn't too bad of a game. There were definitely some guys who got picked on a little bit, definitely some guys who gave up quite a bit, but there was also some really cool stuff. And overall, I think we're mostly happy with the way the pass coverage played, the way our coverage guys performed. And there was also some stuff that PFR did that I didn't really agree with, although I must admit, I don't really know what the right answer is myself, so we'll get into that a little later in the video. But let's start with these linebackers. Bobby Wagner, he got targeted a pretty decent amount in this game, and he got gashed a little bit. Gave up a grand total of, I believe it is, let me check the edit history to be sure. Yeah, he gave up 51 yards in coverage. A lot of yards after the catch. There was that one Adam Thielen play where he got down to the 1 yard line. That was on Bobby. Now, here's the thing. It's not really fair when Bobby ends up in coverage against Adam Thielen. Or any real wide receiver is going to give Wagner problems. So you just got to avoid those situations. And sometimes the situations happen, and there's not really anything Bobby can do about it except just give up some yards. So Bobby gets beat up a little bit in coverage here. His QB rating allows up to 113, but through 3 games, he's only at less than 90 yards. So he keeps that pace up, we're fine. Now, if he starts giving up 50 plus in every game, that's a little less fine. But for now, I think we're okay. So Bobby Wagner off to a fine enough start this year. Devin Bush got targeted a little bit in coverage. He gave up a couple completions, but very little yardage here. And that's kind of a recurring theme with our linebackers so far this year. They're not giving up the big play. Like last year, remember that that play against the Lions where Cody Barton gives up the short pass to TJ Hawkinson, then blows the tackle, and Hawkinson runs for like another 60 yards. We haven't had that happen yet. So Devin Bush has been targeted 5 times, giving up 2 completions for all of 13 yards. Like, if you get targeted 5 times and give up 13 yards, you did something right. And Jordan Brooks, while he is getting picked on a lot, he's getting picked on with plays that don't really go anywhere. 13 targets, 12 completions, yeah, that's not great, but it's only 64 yards total for Brooks. That's less than 5 yards per target. And yeah, I know some of those completions are converting like a 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5. I understand that he's giving up what the what the offense needs to get. So it's not perfect, of course, but this beats what Brooks usually does. Usually Brooks is the guy who's out there giving up 80 yards a game, but we haven't seen that yet. So this is the best Brooks has ever looked in coverage. Not that that's a hard bar to meet, but so far pretty good, honestly. So these linebackers are giving up a lot of completions. They're getting targeted quite a bit through 3 games. But we're seeing that it's not resulting in big plays. It's resulting in little plays. And I know the whole meme with this defense is that they give up a lot of small plays and the opposing teams just never go for the big plays because they know they can just beat us with short stuff over and over and over and over again. But at the same time, these plays that they're giving up are so small, I can't really trip too much on it. So definitely pretty good stuff from these linebackers in coverage. I think I'm willing to live with this. Edge rushers, nothing new this week. Edge rushers not really being used in coverage hardly at all, honestly. Cornerbacks. Now, this is where things get really interesting. So, according to PFR, Devon Witherspoon was targeted a lot in this game. 19 times. He got targeted 19 times by Andy Dalton on that Panthers offense. That's almost, actually, I think that would be, yeah, it's almost a third of Andy Dalton's attempts. And on those attempts, he only allowed 7 catches. So that's how, even though Witherspoon gave up a decent number of yards, even though he got hit with a penalty, like, what is this, 52 yards, and he got hit with a touchdown, because that Adam Thielen touchdown at the end was credited to Witherspoon, his QB rating allowed still dropped to a really solid 84.7. So Witherspoon's doing work out there right now, guys. Witherspoon is absolutely cranking it right now. And I hope people are figuring this out. I hope people are understanding that when you get targeted as a cornerback 19 times in one game and you give up 52 yards, that's pretty remarkable. It's one thing for a linebacker to do that, but for a cornerback to do that, who is getting challenged more down the field, who is going to occasionally be the target on a deep shot, not necessarily in this game, but in general, that's what can potentially happen. It's amazing, and it's awesome. So Witherspoon had a great game. I know that he gave up a touchdown. I know he had a penalty, which was BS. But just beyond the surface level stuff, you dig into these metrics, it's remarkable what he did. Mike Jackson was forced into a lot of duty in this game because of Trey Brown getting hurt. He was targeted a grand total of 7 times, and he allowed a grand total of, oh, shoot, edit history. Yeah, he allowed 5 completions. So not the best, not the worst. He's up to 92 yards allowed on the season. So he did give up a decent amount in this game. It was 61 yards. So not the best, not the worst. You can see why he's kind of getting buried on this depth chart, but he's not unplayable like some guys are. He's not somebody who's getting completely gutted the way that a certain someone else seems to be getting gutted. Almost all the yards he's allowed have been air yards, by the way, 84 to 8 yards after the catch. His QB rating allowed is 109.3. So, yeah, it's fair to call him a little bit of a liability out there, but hopefully soon he'll be able to kind of ride the bench here and just be depth. Trey Brown was knocked out early in this game, so he did not have the opportunity to get targeted even once in this game. He seemed to play fine when he was in there. He was in there for a decent amount before he got hurt, but missed the vast majority of this game. Kobe Bryant was injured, did not play. Artie Burns got targeted quite a bit in this game. He got targeted 10 times. This is what happens when your quarterback drops back to pass 60-plus times. He gave up 7 completions for a grand total of 63 yards. So, decent, fine. Not the best, not the worst. Kind of what you would expect from a guy who's depth. Artie Burns is depth. He started the season on the practice squad. He's not going to go in there and destroy everything. He's going to go in there and hopefully play adequately. That's what we got. Okay, safeties now. Let's get on to safeties. Quandre Diggs, finally, according to PFR, gives up something on this season. He got targeted twice in this game, gave up 2 completions for 38 yards. So, not awful. A little more than he usually gives up in the average game, but if you believe PFR's numbers, this is pretty okay. We're in a decent place right now. If Quandre Diggs goes through 3 games and only gives up 38 yards in coverage, that's not really the problem. Now, I feel like Quandre Diggs is not doing a great job on some plays where he's not getting credited with the coverage bust, with the allowed catch, but that's subjective. That's a little more subjective. And if you take a look at these numbers, this is at least defensible. This is at least looking at it and saying, when Diggs is the guy most responsible, this is what he has given up. I can understand that to a certain extent, but I do want to step up a little bit for our other safety. I want to stand up for him for a second here. So Julian Love had another rough game according to PFR. Let's take a look at the damage. He got targeted 8 times. He gave up 5 completions, and they docked him with almost 80 yards allowed, 77 yards allowed. Another touchdown allowed. So in coverage so far this year, Julian Love has been targeted 27 times. He's allowed almost 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, QB rating allowed of 130.5. So that's 3 games where he's getting beat up. However, PFR gave him the DJ Chark touchdown, which I don't agree with. I think Julian Love missed the tackle on the play. I think he was the closest guy to the play. I don't think the coverage bust was his responsibility. I've left it up here for now because I don't know who it's actually on. Like, I'm looking at that play and I'm seeing, okay, Quandre Diggs, Mike Jackson, one of those two guys, but I don't know who. I can't figure it out. And when I brought this up in the stream, when I was streaming the game, a lot of people on both sides of the argument. Some people were saying, oh, Quandre Diggs didn't get over there. He was supposed to drop back there and he didn't. Some people were saying Mike Jackson thought it was man and we were playing zone, so he ended up in the wrong place. Or maybe it was the other way around. He thought it was zone, we were playing man. I don't know, but I don't think that touchdown can be on Julian Love's head. He just happened to be the closest man to the ball when it got caught because he was trying to come over to clean up somebody else's mistake. But I don't know who the mistake was. I don't. Is it Diggs? Is it Jackson? Is it maybe even somebody else? It's definitely somebody. I don't think it's Julian Love. But I'm going to leave it there for now because I don't know. If you take that touchdown away, Julian Love's game was actually much better. His coverage numbers would have dropped by over 40 coverage yards, and that would have been much more respectable. Jarek Reed played a little bit at the end of this game, allowed one catch on one target for 7 yards. And Teez Tabor got in at garbage time, 1 target, 0 catches, nothing there. So that is it for pass coverage Thursday. We got some guys got beat up, but some of them gave it really good too. When Andy Dalton drops back to pass, what was it, 62 times? You're gonna give up a lot of completions and give up a lot of yards. That's just how football works. So at least it wasn't enough to beat us. It wasn't enough to put up a ton of points on the board. And we saw some really good stuff, like the fact that Witherspoon withstood this amount of targeting and still came out really solidly, and he allowed a garbage time touchdown. Like, that's remarkable. That's awesome. It seems like Julian Love probably had his best game of the season. Not that that means a heck of a lot, so that's good too. There's some stuff here to hang your hat on, even though the big picture is still rough. See you guys later. Go Hawks.